Now, before we start, I'd like to share with you my 80 shadowboxing technique and conditioning program. There are 80 shadowboxing workouts that are broken down into 5 categories. Number 1, boxing offensive combinations. 2, footwork and head movement. 3, offensive Muay Thai combinations. 4, Muay Thai counters and counter the counters. And finally 5, a category I call shadowboxing challenges, which are long, exaggerated, and super fun combinations that test your flow, fluidity, and rhythm in your striking, as well as your cardio, skill, and memory. Each workout includes a detailed breakdown followed by the follow-along workout in both video and audio format. You will learn my full striking system from every technique to every combo, feint, fake, setup, or counter you need to know. You can do these workouts at home, at a gym, a hotel, a park, literally anywhere, anytime. For more information, check out the link in the description box below. Hey, it's Jeff Chan from MMAShredded. In this video, I'm sparring Fred Stonehouse from the Surge MMA. For my new subscribers, Fred is a teammate of mine since 2013. You can find him in a lot of my older videos before I moved out of my hometown. I eventually looked at him as a coach because of how much I learned from him, and now I can say he's like a brother to me. Sparring him is always like a chess match because we've sparred each other so many times. He knows what I like to do, and vice versa. We also use several of the same combos and counters that we picked up from training with each other after all of these years. So look, Fred throws a straight left kick and I brushed it, but he's a step ahead of me and knows I wanted to counter with my rear kick, so he keeps his distance using the long guard and retracts his leg into a check to defend. Remember this exchange, as I will reference back to this a bit later in this video. Here I landed my jab. Fred counters with the right hand over top, but I defended by leaning back and parrying with my opposite side hand and into my check left hook. Fred follows up with a right hook, which I think if he committed he would have landed, and he misses by a centimeter with his gazelle hook. Also remember this exchange, as I will reference back to it later in this video. If you've been following me for a while, you have definitely seen me just drop my hands and bait my opponent into punching me, and then just move just enough not to get hit. Well, this is who I picked it up from. Why do that? Well, you can see Fred here continues to bait me and surprises me with a left high kick counter. So remember the first exchange I broke down? Fred threw his left straight kick and I brushed it, and he kept the distance with his long guard as he retracted his kicking leg into a check. Well, he does it again with the left side kick. I brushed it again, and you can see Fred was ready with his long guard and lead leg up to check. This time I used my lead arm to hand trap his long guard, pulling his guard down for me to land my cross. Remember the second exchange I broke down, where I threw my jab and Fred counters with his right hand. Well, what he tried to do the first time was this. Slip to the inside just by a centimeter to dodge and counter with that right hand. But I was ready for it, so I cross parried it again and into my check left hook. But this time Fred kept his head way off center line, so my hook missed. And with my lead leg planted, he followed up with a double step low kick, landing it before I could properly check. Here I pressured forward, trapped his lead hand with my lead hand again and into my cross, but Fred was ready for it and shoulder rolls. I followed up with the left kick, but he cross checks. And Fred catches my rear kick and performs a beautiful sweep. You can see this time I was super cautious and turned my shin vertical and retracted my leg back in a stance, knowing Fred would try to catch it. Here I threw my jab and Fred counters with the intercepting lead body kick, another exchange I will reference to later. I caught Fred's rear body kick this time and went for the same sweep he used on me, but I failed. To be honest, in my 10 years of sparring Fred, I only remember sweeping him once, and it wasn't even clean. He really has extraordinary balance, mobility, and defense. I knew I'd fail, so I tried to surprise him with a spinning heel kick. Fred is so confident in his kick-caught defense that he can throw his kick so freely at any time. He threw his kick again, but I was discouraged from even trying to sweep him, so I countered with a body cross, a double step low kick instead. And here's another combo you will definitely recognize seeing me do. Fred goes for the calf kick, which turns my body to the right. Fred then follows up with the cross, a double step low kick. So earlier Fred intercepted my jab with a lead body kick. This time, after throwing my jab, I was ready to brush and counter with my liver hook to left head hook, but Fred dodged both. I then threw another hook and landed the cross follow-up. Here's a fun back and forth exchange. I slipped Fred's jab and into my cross, but it fell short. He fired back immediately with his cross, but I cross parried and into my left hook, which fell short because Fred dipped his head below my hook. And Fred fires back again, but with an overhand to left hook, but I was able to evade by keeping the distance and leaning back. And Fred lands another calf kick to cross a double step low kick on me. So remember all those times I succeeded or failed to use the lead hand trap and into my cross? Well, this time I went for it again, but I knew Fred would be ready to react and shoulder roll to defend. So instead, I feinted my cross and into a liver hook to lead head hook and hit that big right hand. Both baiting with their hands down here, Fred threw his jab first, and I slipped and into my cross that fell short, but I followed up with the low kick. I then threw my jab, and the same exchange happens. And this time, I threw the calf kick, which left Fred open to my cross, and I followed up with my double step low kick. A scissor kick from me here by kicking his leg and into a left body kick. You saw me earlier also brush Fred's kick into a lead hook. I knew Fred was going to throw a hook as well, as it's a move I picked up from him. And so I was ready to carriage block and fire that cross down the middle. And honestly, I usually always hit this counter, and I've hit this several times on Fred in the past. But he's leveled up from then, and he was a step ahead of me and parried with his lead arm this time, deflecting my cross. Here, I closed the distance with a gazelle hook and into a body hook, followed by a cross. I then framed off with my lead arm to create space and into another cross. And here, Fred really adapted to my style of fighting and capitalized on it. I threw a left high kick here. He blocks and caught my heel on his way down, lands a counter cross, and follows up with a left hook. He knew I was going to carriage block and fire back with a cross. He also knows I like to take my head way off center line, so this time not only did he parry my counter cross, but he parried it and into a rear high kick. Fred has the most perfect control I've ever seen and pulled his foot a centimeter away from my face. And just like how I like to carriage block the hook and into a cross counter, I also like to parry the jab and into a cross counter. Then, not only does Fred counter my counter, he counters me with my counter. I threw my left hook this time, and Fred carriage blocked and fired back with that cross down the middle. As usual, if you guys enjoyed this video, please support this channel by liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and turning on that notification button. See you guys next time.